Welcome to our Hong Kong Brief program. Today, we're diving into a potpourri of news that's stirring up conversations from global finance to sports fandom woes and tech glitches in the UK. Starting off, the financial world is on the edge of its seat, with a series of central bank policy meetings that could impact almost half the global economy. From the Bank of Japan's potential rate hike to the Fed's rate reduction plans, it's a global rate fest to keep an eye on. Meanwhile, Xiaomi is making a splash in the electric vehicle market, and we're also peeking into China's latest activity data. Over in the sports realm, Lionel Messi's absence from a recent match has fans questioning the value of high ticket prices, sparking a debate on the true cost of fandom. Then, there's a bit of a tech hiccup across the pond, with Sainsbury's and Tesco facing technical issues that have left Brits puzzled at the checkout lines. It's a reminder that even in our digital age, a simple software update can throw a wrench in our day-to-day lives. But it's not all about glitches in games. We're also looking at how China's Belt and Road Initiative is shifting gears towards sharing technical expertise, aiming to cultivate new markets and improve its global image. From agriculture to renewable energy, China's knowledge transfer is setting a new course for global engagement. So, whether you're a finance buff, a sports fan, or just trying to buy groceries in the UK, there's something in the news for you today. Please stay tuned for detailed coverage on these stories and more. Crypto experts, global rate fast, Apple AI, Sunday Asia briefing. Bloomberg. China's technical expertise touted as new vehicle for progress on Belt and Road. South China Morning Post. China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, is increasingly focusing on sharing technical expertise and knowledge with partner countries rather than prioritizing large-scale infrastructure projects. This shift is aimed at cultivating new markets for Chinese companies and improving China's global image. Chinese entrepreneurs and experts are spreading their expertise around the world in various sectors, such as agriculture, urban planning, renewable energy, and healthcare. African countries, in particular, have been benefiting from China's technical assistance, with projects ranging from crop production to pest control to medical care. The BRI's emphasis on knowledge transfer is seen as a safer and more sustainable way to extend the initiative and expand China's influence globally. Chinese expertise sharing is expected to increase in the coming years, especially in countries that lack technical expertise. China has been sharing its agricultural knowledge since the early 2000s through initiatives such as the Agriculture Technology Demonstration Center in Africa. The BRI is now expanding to include sectors such as renewable energy, urban planning, and marine technology. Chinese contractors and experts are finding that jobs overseas enhance their credibility outside China, and wealthier nations may choose the best expertise regardless of whether it comes from China. The technical expertise-led phase of the BRI carries the risk of getting China stuck in developing countries, but China is seeking other forms of repayment, such as access to natural resources or political support. China's technical expertise sharing under the BRI is driven by a desire to shape a better global image and establish itself as a global power. It also comes as China faces limited opportunities for overseas investment and concerns about credit risk. State-owned firms will continue to play a significant role in implementing BRI projects and related business opportunities. Overall, the BRI's focus on knowledge transfer highlights a shift towards a more sustainable and mutually beneficial form of engagement with partner countries. Messi's not playing? Nope, and that's a hazard of sports fandom. Washington Post. Lionel Messi's absence from a recent soccer match led to disappointment among fans and raised questions over ticket prices for sports events. Messi, who was sidelined with a hamstring problem, was missed by fans who had paid up to $1,000 for tickets at Audi Field in Washington, D.C. One fan, Santiago Hogg, said that while he understood Messi's need to rest, the MLS should cap ticket prices, adding, "It's not about growing the game. Balance needed in dealing with Hong Kong's wild boars." SCMP opinion. Hong Kong has seen a rise in conflicts between humans and wild boars due to encroachment on their natural habitat. In response, the government launched a culling program in 2021, resulting in the killing of 910 boars and a 26% decrease in population. Animal concern groups have criticized the program as cruel and ineffective. The government has also proposed raising the penalty for feeding wild animals and implementing population management strategies. The way Hong Kong treats these wild animals will impact its reputation. Invisible, forced to live with your boss, then tossed onto the street, welcome to life as a domestic worker in HK. ABC. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed and exacerbated the abuse and exploitation of foreign domestic workers in Hong Kong. Many were denied their legally entitled day off, with some receiving only 1 day off a month. The pandemic also highlighted issues such as abuse, excessive working hours, and overcharging by employment agencies. However, the new national security law in Hong Kong is making it more difficult for workers and unions to advocate for their rights. The law targets crimes such as sedition and external interference and has expanded sentences for sedition. Workers and unions report that it is becoming harder to speak out and organize protests. In addition to labor protections, there are concerns about the high fees charged by employment agencies and cases of trafficking. The fees often exceed the legal limit, and some workers are forced to sign loan agreements and have their passports confiscated until they pay off the debts. The pandemic has raised awareness of the challenges faced by foreign domestic workers, but systematic change is needed to address the issues they face. Aoife says being a mother should feel like a gift, but it feels like a shackle and burden. ABC. A growing number of women in Asia and around the world are choosing to remain childless due to the high costs involved, both financially and in terms of time and opportunity. In many Asian countries, women are expected to bear and raise children, but they are increasingly seeing the burdens and sacrifices that come with parenting. Declining fertility rates in East Asian countries have been attributed to factors such as demanding work cultures, long hours, a lack of support at home, and discrimination against women who have children. Tesco and Sainsbury's working to fix technical issues that suspended food deliveries to customers. CNN. Supermarket chains Sainsbury's and Tesco in the UK have been hit by technical issues that have disrupted grocery deliveries and contactless payments. Sainsbury's said a software update problem had affected the majority of its deliveries, but that online ordering was still available. Cash or chip and PIN payments were being accepted. Tesco apologized for the cancellation of some online orders due for delivery. The technical issues followed a system failure at McDonald's, which closed restaurants and affected online and app orders in several countries. Comac, China's big hope in airliners, eyes Southeast Asia after Singapore debut. Nikkei Asia. China's state-owned aircraft manufacturer Comac is looking to expand globally, following the debut of its C919 aircraft at the Singapore Air Show. The narrow-body jet has yet to receive international type certification, which would enable it to be sold outside China, but Comac is looking for its first formal order from an overseas buyer. The manufacturer signed 2 deals at the show with Chinese airlines, marking the first time the C919 and the smaller ARJ21 regional jet were shown outside of mainland China or Hong Kong. COMAC has brought 5 ARJ21s and C919s to the airshow, where interest was strong from airline executives. However, Christian Scherer, CEO of Airbus Commercial Aircraft Business, said the C919 is really not bringing any particular differentiation to the market and does not expect it to rock the boat in a significant way. Hong Kong star Lee could focus on Olympic Omnium bid, after Madison frustration. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong head coach Hervé Degorn is considering pulling star rider CC Lee Ziwing from the Madison Olympic pursuit and focusing on her preferred Omnium event instead. This follows Lee and partner Liang Wingyi's 10th-place finish in the UCI Track Nations Cup, which dropped Hong Kong down the Olympic qualification standings. Degorn believes that a recent change of team colors affected Lee and Liang's performance, and he is considering pairing Lee with a different partner for the Madison event in Canada so that she can focus on the Omnium. After the pandemic, young Chinese again want to study abroad, just not so much in the US. Associated Press. The number of Chinese students studying abroad in the US is declining due to escalating geopolitical tensions between the two nations. Chinese students have long been a key source of revenue for U.S. universities and colleges, but this trend is shifting as students increasingly opt for other destinations. Rising costs and concerns over safety are cited as reasons for the decline. The number of Chinese students studying in the U.S. peaked in the 2019 to 2020 academic year at 372,532 but is now at 289,526. This decline is also affecting graduate programs, with some engineering courses seeing Chinese applicants dwindle to single digits. Experts warn that cutting people-to-people exchanges could have lasting implications for bilateral relations between the two countries. While the U.S. has sought to limit the number of Chinese students attending U.S. schools, there has also been a slump due to a decline in regional birth rates in China and the country's growing patriotism. From gyms to hostels, women in China are creating female-friendly spaces. South China Morning Post. A small but growing trend is seeing Chinese women opt for female-only spaces in a bid to escape the male gaze, feel safe, and find emotional support. The trend is in stark contrast to the male-dominated clubs and elite politics of China, where female participation is often minimal. Zhang Ying, a gym enthusiast, created her own all-women gym in 2022, where she wanted to create a community where women could feel emotionally supported. Other services catering to women's needs are springing up across China, including book clubs, hostels, bars, and gyms. On their homepages, these venues describe themselves as offering tolerance, comfort, warmth, and as safe spaces for women to express their feelings. The trend has been attributed to women becoming more willing to protect their own feelings and to a desire for more honest, comfortable, and safe environments. However, some projects catering to women have struggled due to a lack of funding and limited market size. I feel alienated. Secularism law vexes minorities in Quebec. South China Morning Post. A court ruling in Quebec, Canada, which upheld a law banning religious symbols at public workplaces, has been condemned as discriminatory. The law, known as Bill 21, was introduced in 2019 and prevents workers in positions of authority from wearing religious symbols such as hijabs, turbans, and yarmulkes. The ruling has been criticized by minority communities, who argue that it targets groups including Sikhs, Muslims, and Jews. The law prevents individuals such as teachers, police officers, and government lawyers from wearing religious symbols. Critics argue that it excludes these groups from important public service roles. A survey conducted in 2022 found that 60% of Jewish respondents felt their sense of acceptance in Quebec society had deteriorated since the law was introduced. Similarly, 78% of Muslim women expressed the same view. the law has been described as discriminatory and a violation of freedom of religion and expression. Critics are exploring legal options to challenge the ruling. Hong Kong pair grinding hard, make most of rare international series invites. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong pair Leon D'Souza and Matthew Chung are making the most of their invite to the International Series Macau event. With 73 players within 7 shots of the lead at the start of Saturday's third round, D'Souza produced his second bogey-free round in 2 days. Chung had an eagle and 4 birdies offset by 2 bogeys. D'Souza said, "Just playing in these events is a rare chance for the Hong Kong pair this season, neither of whom has status on the tour after failing to make it through Q School. Greater clarity is needed on the issue of collecting publications." SCMP opinion. Questions have been raised about Hong Kong's existing sedition law, as the maximum penalty for possession of seditious publications is set to increase from 12 months imprisonment to 3 years under the proposed national security law. Officials have stated that the offense is only committed if there is knowledge the material is seditious, and it is a defense if there is a reasonable excuse. However, the problem lies in determining what is seditious and what is not. Greater clarity is needed in this area to ensure that Hong Kong's free flow of information is not unduly curbed. Britain is mortgaging its future to prop up the present. Telegraph. The UK's economic decline is a result of deep structural problems that have been ignored due to the distraction of Brexit. Both the ruling Conservative Party and the opposition Labour Party have failed to address the issue and offer viable solutions for economic growth. A policy exchange paper highlights 8 examples from history of rapid economic growth and draws lessons for the UK. These examples include post-war Germany and France, Thatcher's Britain, Poland after communism, Singapore, Hong Kong, South Korea, and Ireland. The paper suggests that each of these success stories started from a position of economic crisis and underdevelopment, which created the political will and public support for economic transformation. Another common factor is relatively high levels of domestic savings and investment. The UK, however, has a cultural addiction to debt-funded welfare and has one of the lowest savings rates among G7 countries. The political class has failed to address this imbalance, with recent proposals such as the elimination of employee national insurance contributions likely to exacerbate the problem. The article concludes by calling for a clear choice in the upcoming general election on how to address the UK's economic decline. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.